No mai, haere mai. Welcome everyone to the second panel of the Organic Week speaker series. My name is Philippa Jamison. I'm the editor of OrganicNZ magazine, and it's my pleasure to be the facilitator for the panel today. OrganicNZ is thrilled to be involved in Organic Week, and particularly this year, because we're celebrating the 80th anniversary of our publisher, the Soil and Health Association of New Zealand. For 8 decades, we've promoted all aspects of organics with the motto, healthy soil, healthy food, healthy people. Today's panel is about ecology, which is Hauropi in Te Reo Māori. This week is Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, and I've learnt this new word, Hauropi. We're going to have 4 wonderful organic speakers, each talking for about 8 minutes, followed by questions from the audience. And at the end, we'll announce the lucky winners of some spot prizes we have to give away. So please stick around. Now, the spot prizes are a full set of Whenua lingonberry that's donated by Whenua, and Tremane Barr from Whenua speaking today. The next prize is New Zealand Alpine Lavender prize pack, and so that is also donated by another speaker, Blake Foster from New Zealand Alpine Lavender. Next prize is the Common Sense goodie bag, full of all sorts of wonderful goodies from Common Sense, including the bag. And the 4th prize is a book, The Abundant Garden by Neva and Yotam K, and it's been on the bestseller lists for quite a while. And the final prize is a 1-year subscription to OrganicNZ magazine. I'd just like to thank all the Organic Week sponsors, especially the platinum sponsors, Countdown and Fonterra Organic, for your very generous support in making these events for Organic Week happen. So the theme for today's panel is uncovering the relationships from land to brand. Organic agriculture has 4 key principles: health, ecology, fairness, and care. Today's panelists focus on ecology, Hauropi. Organic agriculture is based on living ecological systems and cycles, working with them, emulating them, and helping sustain them. In the Huapara kore system, one of the principles that I think is relevant here is whakapapa, our kinship with all living things in the ecosystem. So we're going to hear about how these organic businesses and initiatives recognise, value, and participate in the interconnections in nature, and how this manifests in their various organic activities and products. So to introduce our 4 panelists, first up we'll have Rory Lenihan-Ikin. He's one of the farm managers at Kaicycle, which is an urban farm and composting project in Wellington that's striving to model a circular food system that regenerates the environment and empowers the community. It collects household and business food scraps by bike to make compost, and grows vegetables that are distributed to local families through a community-supported agriculture scheme, a CSA. People can visit Kaicycle's farm to volunteer and learn about regenerative food production. And as it happens, serendipitously, all 4 panelists have either been featured in or have written for OrganicNZ. So you may remember seeing Rory in the yellow t-shirt there on the front cover of OrganicNZ in January this year. Next speaker is Tremane Barr. He has Ngāi Tahu whakapapa, and along with his wife, Jutta Glintborg, is the founder of Christchurch-based whānau business Zerma, which also has Whenua certified organic skincare. The range includes moisturizers, serums, cleansers, and toners that incorporate native plant materials and extracts. Tremane has had a long involvement with the organic and GE-free community, and he has written for OrganicNZ magazine a few times, and one of his articles appeared in this magazine. There he is there in his garden. Now, the next speaker is Blake Foster. He's founder and grower at New Zealand Alpine Lavender. He grew up on a grain cropping farm in Saskatchewan, Canada. And he's also managed an organic health food store. Blake's going to talk about the ecology of the unique environment where they grow their certified organic lavender up on the Mount Cook Highway across from Lake Pukaki. The farm provides a habitat for a very rare creature that Blake will talk about, found in this high country area. And OrganicNZ featured New Zealand Alpine Lavender in this magazine. Yeah. Now, our final speaker will be Amy Reason. She heads up research and development at Zealong Tea Estate, New Zealand's only commercial tea estate. It's certified organic. It's been in operation for over 20 years and produces high quality green, black, and oolong tea. Zealong is located in Waikato near Hamilton, in an area that provides the ideal conditions for growing Camellia sinensis, the tea plant. And Zealong has also featured in OrganicNZ magazine. Now, I'm sorry, I couldn't locate the magazine. I think it's in storage. But yeah, it's really nice that we've got that connection with all of you. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our first speaker, Rory Lenihan-Ikin.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Rory Lenihan-Ikin tōku ingoa. No airangi rātou ko irarangi, ko tiranga tōku tupuna, he Pākehā ahau. Kei te noho au, ki te whanganui ātara, tēnā tātou. Well, thanks very much, Philippa, and it's a pleasure to be here with the other panelists. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm so appreciative of all the work that's gone in over many decades by OrganicNZ and the entire organic movement in New Zealand, because there's been, I know, a lot of heavy lifting, and organics hasn't always been the sexiest thing, and it becoming more well understood in recent times. And so for people that are pretty new to the movement like myself, it makes working in this space a lot easier than what I'm sure it was for people in the early days. Just to start with, I guess, a bit about the project that I'm involved in, the Kaicycle urban farm in Wellington. So we're in central Wellington, in Newtown, the best suburb in New Zealand, in my opinion, just a stone's throw from the central city. And we're on council land. It's reserve land, and the site used to be it's a grass park, and before Kaicycle came and started an urban farm. We've got 2.5 FTEs that run the farm and running the market garden and the composting, and then we've got all sorts of volunteers that are involved in all aspects of what goes on the site. So people can pretty much come and join us working whatever we're doing 3 days of the week, and learn about what goes into running an organic market garden. So we feed 20, in the winter we feed 20 families with a box of vegetables a week through a community supported agriculture scheme, and it goes up a bit to 25 in the summer. So we're on a really small bit of land. It's 1,500 square meters, but only about 400 square meters of growing space. And then we also have a composting where we take food scraps from around 200 households and businesses in the city. There's a big education component. We've got high school students, for example, through a collaboration with Papatau Earth Care, who come and spend time with us one afternoon a week, and are getting NCEA credits to learn about an organic market garden skills. And so yeah, it's an open air community centre really for everything related to growing food in a way that heals rather than hurts the climate. And I guess it's also worth adding that the farm is mostly run by, we're city kids mainly that haven't grown up on farms, have gone to university, studied and come out of study and realized that really what we want to do is learn more about how food is produced, and wanted to get into that in the city. So we're definitely not experts, we're learning along the way. It's kind of just one big learning journey. So I'm definitely not talking today as an expert, but hopefully we can have a nice conversation. So the topic is ecology. I guess one of the first things that comes to mind with ecology that's very familiar to the organics movement is microbes, and microbes in soil. And as we know, at the core of organic food production is soil, and of the things that are in soil, made up of inorganic matter, the weathered parent rocks, organic matter, decomposed plant material, air, water, and then of course organisms. And the organisms do so often get overlooked in terms of the makeup of soil. And so bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, and they can have negative impacts on plants, but predominantly they have positive impacts on plants, and they have this amazing symbiotic relationship where the microbes feed on the dead plant material and break it down and then make those nutrients available to living plants. And that is what enables the nutrient cycle to actually function. And I think that probably in this space, people are well aware of the role that microbes play in soil, but I think that the more we can talk about microbes and living organisms in soil, the better, because generally there's a lack of understanding about how important they are. And one of those aspects is the role that they play in soil carbon. And we hear so much, and rightly so, about carbon just in general, and the fact that there's too much carbon in the atmosphere, of course, and the way that soil can be used to store that carbon is a large part down to how healthy the microbes are in the soil. And because plants feed the microbes by taking CO2 out of the atmosphere and sending it down into the soil as exudates, which feed the fungi and bacteria. And as those fungi and bacteria grow and regenerate, reproduce, they store carbon. So yeah, in terms of ecology, microbes and organisms and soil is a massive part of the success of our business, I guess, in order to grow good crops organically. So how can we feed these soil microbes? Talk about one aspect of something that we do, which is crop diversity, and specifically polycropping. And polycropping is something that is reasonably undeveloped concept within biointensive market gardening. Very, very commonly in biointensive market gardening, there'll be lots of different crops, but there'll just be a single crop, or maybe two crops in a single bed. I did forget to jump to this slide, which is just a look at what the site looked like prior to Kaicycle being there. And when I think of ecology, well, it's quite clear that there's not a lot of ecology going on in that image right there. There's a couple of oak trees and some not very a monoculture grass. Maybe there's a couple of species in that grass. So there's not a lot of species on that site. And then if we look at it there, the numbers of different species of microorganisms, of plants, of insects, that and also of humans that have been introduced there is significant. So crop diversity, so polycropping. So here's an image of a polycrop. This is from about this time last year. And so in this bed, there's a number of different species. Starting on the front is some young spring onions, and then there's kale, and then there's carrots, and then there's cauliflower, and then there's fennel, and there's probably some other species on the other side of the fennel as well, on the other side of the bed. And the reason for doing polycropping in terms of microbes is the more diversity of plant, like different plants feed different soil microbes. So the more diversity of plants that there can be in the soil, then the more diversity and more healthy the soil organisms will be. So polycropping is a definitely an interesting emerging thing. It's being taught, developed by particularly out of the Organic Market Garden in Auckland, and taught through the Earthworkers program, which we were lucky enough to host this year. And I think it's a really exciting thing for small scale market gardening and horticulture in general to explore. There's lots of challenges with polycropping, because obviously when you've got multiple species of plants in a bed, they grow at different rates, they grow to different sizes, and so it's a bit of a dance getting a combination of species in a bed that are going to grow in a way that they don't impede each other, and also when they're being harvested at different times, they need to be planted in a way so you've got the longest crops in the center of the bed and the quicker crops on the outside of the bed, so that harvesting is actually ergonomic. But yeah, crop diversity, polycropping, something that we've been experimenting with a lot in the last year or 2 years, and I think there's a lot of potential for it in organics. Another part of our business that ecology plays a massive role in is compost. Of course, the cornerstone of organic food production. And the question in our setting, in the urban setting, is how we can use the available nutrient scheme, which is household food waste that's currently mostly going to landfills, 260,000 tonnes a year going to landfill. How can we use this nutrient stream in order to capture it and put it into the ground? The system that we use is we use bikes with trailers to pick up food scraps from households and businesses in the CBD and the inner suburbs of Wellington. And we've also got some drop-off hubs, including at our farm, where people that live close by can come and drop their food scraps, and then they are taken, combined with different urban carbon sources. So at the moment, we're using shredded paper from a document destruction company, coffee chaff from coffee roasters, and then leaves and other carbon sources that are available to make really good compost. And the goal here is to make living compost that's full of microorganisms that can inoculate microbes in our soil. So yeah, that are the kind of I'm probably coming to towards the end of my 8 minutes. I did want to add in cheekily one other thing, which is not, I guess, really ecology, but social ecology, because on a tiny urban site like us, the focus is not about how many crops we can grow necessarily, how many people we can feed, but also a big part of it is engaging with people, teaching, providing a space for people that may never have seen or been part of growing food, giving a place for people to have that experience. And so the social ecology is definitely critical to the success of our project. We've got a kindergarten next door, so there's kindergarten kids coming over all the time, school kids coming in every week, people of all ages, people that work around that come and sit in the garden to have their lunch, parents picking up veggies. It is a open air community centre, and that's a big part of what makes it tick and what makes it valuable in the community.
Rory, that is so inspiring. Thank you very much. Ka pai tō mahi. And the team's work there too. That's great. Now we'll move to our next speaker, Tremane Barr. Take it away.
Kia ora koutou, ko nai tahu te iwi, ko Hautini te whenua, ko Kati Mahaki ki Makawhio te hapu, ko Tremane Barr tōku whenua. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Yes, biofenyl organic and natural skincare. Ecology, Kaicycle in action. This has been a work in progress because I really don't have a background in this at all. Prior to this, working full-time in the business, I was an academic researcher working for Ngāi Tahu. And my wife got a phone call one day and said, "You want to buy an essential oil business?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And I don't have a clue. And then 2 weeks later, I was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. So it's been a bit of, that was 2012, and there's been a very steep learning curve since then. And because of my background working with Indigenous agricultural development, social development, I've sort of been able to bring my background and skill set into the products that we have in the business and develop that over time. Now, this is plus also the background. All of a sudden, I was confronted with this idea, well, hey, these professionals reckon I'm going to die in 3 to 6 months. So what am I going to do? So thankfully through some expert help, I was put in the right direction with organic food and herbal medicine and meditation and therapy and that sort of stuff. And I wrote about it in the OrganicNZ magazine. You can find the article there, and it's a picture of me gardening there. So organics has always been a part of who we are as people, my wife and myself, Judith Blinthorpe. And we've brought that into the business that we bought over time as we learned more about the business and the opportunities that were presented within the business from that perspective, and how we could bring organic ecology into the products that we wanted to sell on our terms. Our kids and friends describe us as old hippies, and I suppose that's fair enough. And we've seen the power of organic food. And you say, well, if you ate organic food, why do you get sick? Well, very good question. And once again, there's an article in OrganicNZ magazine describing how after I was diagnosed with terminal cancer, that in fact all along, because our neighbourhood was an old orchard, they used lead arsenate pesticides up until the mid-1940s. And that still persisted in the soil. So we had lead and arsenic and cadmium and chromium all 70, 80 years later. And once we found that out, we stopped touching the soil and the food, and eventually we got remediated a piece of our land so it was safe to eat from again. So because of my background as Ngāi Tahu and working for Ngāi Tahu, I was able to bring mātauranga Māori concepts and ideas into the business. And I've been writing the organic He Mahi Mara article for the Te Karaka Ngāi Tahu magazine since 2009 now, and there's a lot more details on what I've done in terms of my recovery and stuff like that there. Now, Whenua, we realised that in terms of the ecology, Kaicycle and Moderator, I mean, my survival, my life depended on Kaicycle and Moderator, and for a period of time, all I did was focus on that. But after I started not just surviving, but thriving, I was able to become more involved with the business. And I realized we need to embody these principles in our business. Part of that's being certified with BioGrow. And we started off, first organic certification was with essential oils and providing certified organic essential oils. The business prior to this did sell organic oils, but it wasn't certified. So we realized the market was heading in that direction where you need to be able to prove what you say you're doing is actually what you are doing. And BioGrow provides us with that guarantee to our customers. The business also came with a Manuka honey cream. And once we started looking into it, there's some good stuff in it, but there's some toxic stuff in it as well. And we delved into how we get rid of the toxic stuff and put more good stuff into it. And then that came up with the idea of how do we create a whole range of natural and organic skincare products that is good for people. The name Whenua, bio of course is Latin for life, and Whenua is Māori for land. And it's sort of a blend of me being Ngāi Tahu Māori and my Pākehā Danish wife. So we look for that sort of blend there. But she has a strong background in herbal medicine, more than I do. And so she wanted to bring native plant materials into the business. And turns out our lingonberry range, that lingonberries were something that are used in Scandinavia. to this day. They're a sort of shrub berry which you can find in the forests. And I mean, one of the advantages of being certified with BioGrow and developing a new range of products is that we had to go through every single ingredient. It's very easy to have, yeah, we're going to be ecological and we're going to Kaicycle and native ingredients and all the rest of it. The value of being certified organic is that we get to go through every single nitty-gritty of the ingredients and the process of making and stuff like that, even when it drove us despair at times. But we ended up with much better products at the end of the day because of that process itself. I come with this tagline, because everyone deserves to feel good in their own skin. But that's ecology, Kaicycle in action. Using native ingredients, there's lots of Te Rongo Māori native plant knowledge, Mātauranga Māori knowledge of our native plants that can be incorporated, not just in skincare, but general healthcare overall. And we're only just touching the surface of it in terms of that. And we have things like kawa kawa, which is pretty well known. There's mamaku, which is the black fern. Of course, we've got manuka honey cream range, which we don't have available at the moment, but will be coming along, and various things like that. And we really think there is a powerhouse of healing things in our native plant biodiversity, which can be very good for our health. Now, another leads to the reason why, well, there's no reason why you can't have healthy, good-looking skin that's good for ecology and your body while doing good for the world. And that's really our philosophy at the end of the day. You know, you can call yourselves old hippies, but that doesn't mean to say you have to necessarily not have really, really good-looking skin and healthy skin that doesn't compromise your health in the process of doing it. Because most of what passes for, you know, the mainstream skincare products, it's pretty frightening when you delve down into it. And we've made the effort to make sure that's not the case in our product range and guarantee it. So yes, and that's really how we have put our ecology, Kaicycle in action in terms of our products and our brand range and our business.
Kia ora, Tremane. Thank you very much. That's really good, and it's so nice to to hear a bit about your personal health. It's a holistic thing. Okay, so we'll move on now to our third speaker, Blake Foster.
The first thing I'd like to thank Tiffany, Melissa, Philippa, and everybody at OrganicNZ for their letting me be on this panel. So in New Zealand Alpine Lab, we're going to present Hauropi Ecology, a discussion of Hauropi Ecology. So our discussion topics will be why the importance of an ecological balance, how does being eco-friendly and sustainable help us, why is using ecological farming methods important, and how can you benefit from the use of ecological farming methods? And then lastly, a little bit about New Zealand Alpine Lavender. So why the importance of an ecological balance? By being certified organic, all inputs in the land have no negative impact on biodiversity, and inputs actually help build biodiversity. No negative runoff of inputs that can affect the biodiversity in other areas. It is a win-win approach, thus harmony with nature. Since we have such a large farming operation and the plants last for about 15 to 20 years, we're kind of limited on what we can do underneath the plant. So what we do every year, we do soil testing and we analyze, okay, what's happening in the soil? What do we need to do? And we add nutrients accordingly. Either we foliar spray or we broadcast lime, other specialized nutrients, whatever the situation requires to bring up the ecological balance in the soil and thus make the plants happy. Lavender requires a pH 6 to 7 ideally, and the soils in our area are predominantly acidic. They're around 5.5. They're very fine glacial silt and a lot of rock in the soil. So it's a challenging environment. But lavender doesn't really require a lot of special things in the soil, but the main thing is the pH. So how does being eco-friendly and sustainable help us? If we have a friendly environment to live and work in, this will not only help us, but be beneficial for the long-term health of our planet. So part of the mission at New Zealand Alpine Lavender is to provide an environment where people can come and be relaxed and peaceful. It's a very serene environment, and as you all know, lavender is a relaxing herb. So people come into the lavender paddock, they can walk through the plants, walk through the rows, they can sit in the lavender and just enjoy the ambience that the lavender gives off. There's no pesticides, no herbicides used at all. And so a person can be completely free from that sort of worry. So it's a really an eco-friendly environment. So why is using ecological farming methods important? New Zealand Alpine lavender is a rare bumblebee called Bumpus subterraneus in abundance. New Zealand Alpine lavender is the only place in New Zealand where you can come and sure to find this rare bee. This is a living example how being in harmony with nature produces a very wonderful ecological outcome. So bumblebees usually come in February in our location. And a friend of mine suggested, well, why don't we contact the Bumblebee Conservation Trust and ask one of their members to come and do a survey of the bumblebees. So a man by the name of Dr. Barry Donovan came and he spent a day there and he went through all the rows of lavender and he found the 4 main bumblebees that are in New Zealand. And he was especially very excited to find the rare bumblebee, Bumpus subterraneus. Now, this bumblebee comes from the UK and it's now extinct there. It is still in some locations in New Zealand, around Twizel, Central Otago, but it's not like you can actually go and find it. You're maybe just luck out finding it. But at New Zealand Alpine Lavender, you can be sure to find the rare bee. In fact, it's probably one of the only places in the world where you can be sure to find it. So after Barry came, we have students from Crop and Research at Lincoln. They come every year and they study the bees, and the students are really excited because they've never seen the bee in real life. Well, they've only seen it in pictures, so they get to see the rare bee in real life. How can you benefit from ecological farming methods? Well, basically, if we poison the air, the water, and the land, what future is there? If each of us takes a small step, if each company takes a small step, if each government takes a small step to bring more, to be more ecologically aware of their actions, and the future of the planet will be assured. So New Zealand Alpine Lavender has taken a small step in establishing this organic lavender farm. Every year we have many people come and enjoy the ambience of the lavender and experience the peacefulness and the relaxation of it. So a little bit about New Zealand Alpine Lavender. We're BioGrow certified organic. We've been that way for pretty much the inception. We grow 4 main types of lavender. 3 are true lavender, which is Avis Hill, Pacific Blue, and Violet Intrigue. And we grow another one, which is a hybrid called Molten Silver. And molten silver is quite an interesting plant because its parent grows at 12,000 feet in Europe. One of its parents grows at 12,000 feet in Europe. And it produces very, very unique fragrance. And we're actually the only grower in New Zealand, or actually the only grower in the world that actually grows this particular plant. And we've won many awards, for its fragrance. So it's a climate of extremes. I don't know how many of you have been to the Mackenzie country or lived there, but it's, it can be like freezing at night in the middle of summer and 35 degrees in the daytime. So, it's a very extreme climate. You get very strong UV, you get the northwest winds, you got snow melt and snow and cold, freezing in the wintertime. So the plants have to adapt to this environment. Growing herbs in the mountains produces unique characteristics and unique chemicals, I should say, as well. And these chemicals come out in our oil. So we distill our own lavender oil. It's certified organic, and it's the very, very powerful, very potent oil. And we've also won many awards for the different cultivars. So like I said, it's a pristine and untouched location. Like I said, we belong to the New Zealand Lavender Growers Association, and every year they have oil awards where different growers in New Zealand and actually around the world submit their oils to be smelt by 8 or 9 judges. And the judges have they have a whole criteria of how they judge the oils. And over the years we've won half dozen trophies, maybe 8 gold awards, 20 silver awards for our different cultivars. In fact, this last year we were the top oil in both categories of Angustifolia, which is the true lavender, and the Lavender, which is the hybrid. Thanks for attending. We're located at 657 Mount Cook Road on the way to Aoraki Mount Cook. We have the lavender fields and shop are open December through March. So if any of you are up that way, let me know. I can give you a little tour of the lavender. Oh, I'd just like to add too. I mean, we've actually have a prize we've submitted, but any of you who didn't get a prize, I'd just like to let you know that if you order any of our products off the website, we're offering 15% discount over the next 3 days. Thank you again for listening to this, and any questions, please ask.
Thank you very much, Blake. Yeah, really interesting growing up there in that challenging environment. We'll move on now to our final speaker, Amy Reason from Zealong.
Right, kia ora whānau. Thanks for having me today. I am the lucky last speaker. So I am Amy from Zealong Tea, and I'm going to share with you today a bit about what I get up to. So the slides are in no particular order. They're just beautiful pictures that I love, so I can show you around my tea estate. Zealong was founded in 1996 by Vincent Chen. He was having a cup of tea with a friend and looked out the window and saw a flowering camellia bush. He thought, hey, tea is camellia. I bet it would grow in New Zealand. And that started his journey to set up New Zealand's only certified organic tea estate. Today we have 48 hectares and has over 1 million tea plants. It employs over 30 permanent staff and many more during our harvest season. It's been fully organic from the beginning, and it's been certified since 2008, so that's over 13 years. It's really important to the team that we continue to maintain our organic farm system, as the tea is very much a product of its environment. What goes into the soil comes out in the cup. We've won numerous international awards, clearly showing us that the effort we put in to maintain the health of our organic soils is working. So for us, our ecology is the relationship between our living organisms, including our humans, and their physical environment. So that's important to us on every level, right from the microorganisms right up to our environment. So for us, our ecological balance is very important. The stability of every ecosystem coexisting within the same environment is fundamental for us to maintain our sustainable organic farm system. Being mindful of everything that is used or removed and the impact that it's going to have on the whole system is important. This includes our human contribution to these systems. Our staff are very conscious of their impact, and this is evident in our attempts to do everything that we have an influence on. Our tea bags are compostable. We have regular contact with international and local packaging suppliers to ensure that our packaging is as sustainably advanced as it can be at this time. We operate our factory in the highest food safety standards, and our resource efficiency is essential to maintaining our limited impact on the environment. We strive to do the best and be the best, and keeping this ideology at the priority for us is essential for everything that we do. It's great for producers to follow an organic process. At Zealong, we are internationally certified organic, and this means we have independent auditors checking, testing, and evaluating us in everything we do annually. This ensures the lines are not blurred and our high standards are met. This means what we say we're doing, we are actually doing. It's transparent and there's no room for compromise. An interesting and great example of our ecological impact of growing tea in New Zealand is the caffeine content of our tea. Over time, the caffeine level has dropped, and this is one of the many things that we test for annually. The conclusion we've drawn is that the caffeine is the plant's natural defense against pests, so it's a natural pesticide. And because we have no sap-sucking insects, or very few sap-sucking insects in New Zealand compared to international estates, the caffeine levels over time have dropped, which is brilliant. Now we just need the plants to come up with a solution for rabbits and pukekos. I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon. Eco-friendly and sustainability are very much buzzwords that are popular in mainstream media. In the tea industry, we're up against a lot of big companies that are good at greenwashing and a lot of indifference from our consumers. Eco-friendly has never been a buzzword that Zealong has got into, but we are 100% committed to sustainability, environmentally, socially, and economically. These three pillars must be strong together for a business to survive and to be successful. The measure of success is the core for us, and our sustainability is essential. We want to be here for many years to come. We should never take what we can't replace. Our ecological balance is not just for primary producers like us. We all need to be aware of our impact, and we need to work together to ensure that we're leaving the ecosystem better than how we've received it. And because it's Organic Week, we're offering 25% discount at our online shop. And so that's my presentation, short, sweet, and at the end. Thank you for having me.
Kia ora, Amy. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's great to see, and lots of lovely pictures. I can vouch for the exquisite taste of Zealong teas, actually. Very high quality. Now we are coming up towards the end. We may only have time for a couple of questions. The question from Mike Palmer's, I believe this may be for Rory to answer. How do you manage crop rotations with polycropping and different nutrient requirements for each crop? So Rory, would you like to answer that one?
So with polycropping, one of the benefits of it is that crop rotations no longer doesn't have the same is not the same need for crop rotation, because there's obviously, if you've got a single crop in each bed, then you need to be rotating what crops are in that bed each season, so that it's not monocrop the same again and again and again. But when there's diversity in the soil system, that diversity is there, and so there's not the same requirement for changing the species out, because there are many species in there. It's a bit like a mature ecosystem. Say, for example, here in Wellington, would have been a mature native forest of rimu and you know, many different species, and obviously that's a perennial system, but the system can self-support itself because it's got enough diversity. So yeah, the idea is with the polycrops, you don't need to rotate as much. And in terms of nutrient requirements, what we're trying to do, and this is based on quite new science and teachings through the Earthworkers course, but that if the soil microbiology is fully functioning, then that soil system can support any plant. So we've stopped feeding nutrients to the soil that specific plants require, and instead working with the sole focus of getting the soil microbiology fully in balance and functioning in a way that any plant is able to thrive in that system, have high Brix, and be healthy. There was also, while I'm on it, there was a question about how the polycrops are designed and how do you describe what crops go with each other. And it's a lot of playing around and experimenting, but in short, choosing a primary crop to go in the middle, that's going to be the longest crop, and then based on your bed width, choosing how many crops and what different types you're going to have alongside, making sure that your planting spacings are such that when each plant is at its full maturity, the spacing between each crop on either side is as correct. It's kind of, yeah, there's a few, lots of different things that go into it.
All right, thank you very much, Rory. Look, just one, we're sort of running short on time now, so I just have one more quick question, and that is from Sol Morgan to Blake. Do you add any other diversity to your system? Trees, understory plants, question mark.
At the moment, no. Except there's a lot of weeds growing, which we try and get rid of by steam. No, unfortunately, I was just thinking some of the things Amy was saying about how what's in the soil comes out in the tea, and I thought that's a very, very, very good point, and it's something that I will look at carefully as how we can increase our soil structure.
Thank you very much to all the panelists. It's been really fascinating to hear how you each, relate to and connect and interact with the land, the particular environment that you're growing in, or your products are produced from, and the care and the thought that goes into everything from the microorganisms and the creatures in your ecosystem and the humans as well. So you've all shown how important it is to have that holistic, viewpoint, and that kind of circular economy that values ecology as much as the economic bottom line. Or after all, we need a vibrant, functional ecology to survive and thrive. Thanks very much to all the prize donors for your generosity. And thank you indeed to all the Organic Week sponsors, and especially the Platinum sponsors, Countdown and Fonterra Organics. Your support is greatly appreciated. So thanks to the panelists, to the Organic Week organisers, and to all of you, the audience, for attending. Kia pai tō rā. Kia ora rā.